Spain?
I have, just got back.
Very tan, dear boy.
Thank you very much indeed.
Had a good time.
Very good time, yeah.
Whereabouts were you over there?
Costa del Sol between Marbella, all the way up to Benalmádena and Torremolinos, really, and then up into the mountains to find a finca for a client that's already bought one property through us.
How did that go?
Good. Well, yeah, it's always a bit stressful locating them because obviously we have the concierge service, which we'll come on to, I'm sure, later on. But yeah, it can be stressful finding the properties and doing the due diligence to make sure that they're checked and they exist and they're clean and the titles are good. But once you've gone through that part of it, no, it's good.
Yeah.
Good.
I just wonder, Toby, because you are so in the know with regard to properties in Spain, the number of people who aren't in the know jump on an aeroplane, go there, and then they leave their brains behind when they get off at the other end.
Yes.
And jump into something that they're going to regret.
People do, and I've seen erudite, articulate, switched on, educated, upright standing members of the community make some absolute huge mistakes, and to this day I don't know why. We call it brains under the seat syndrome. Normal rational thinking members of society, professionals, builders, doctors, lawyers, accountants, for some strange reason have a dream and a pot of money, want to retire abroad or want a holiday home, get on the plane at Heathrow or East Midlands at this end and get off the plane as a completely different person.
I've heard you use the phrase heady abandonment in the past.
Yeah, it does seem to be heady abandonment. I don't know whether they've had too many riojas at the far end or they just lose it. I don't know, but I've seen some very, very intelligent, articulate people make some howling mistakes, and obviously then it falls back to us to unravel those mistakes and get the money back, and it can be stressful for them, and it's a lot of hard work for us, and it was not unnecessary to begin with.
So at what stage should the decision making come into play then if you're
Here.
going abroad?
Here.
At this end?
Yeah, you should put together your plan. You should have a strategy that takes you from A through all of the letters to Z. And you should have a destination, because the journey to the destination can be made an awful lot easier if you actually have a plan. So you should dive your plan and plan your dive, as they say in the paddy world. You shouldn't just make knee-jerk reactions based on the fact that you've just come into £100,000 worth of money because one of your parents has left you a property, or however you've got into that situation. The decision to buy the property and a lot of the due diligence can be done here. It's the last 10 numbers or letters that should be done in Spain. You should have an idea. And yes, the journey can be scary, but every single journey starts with a single footstep, and we will hold your hand. It doesn't need to be difficult.
Yeah. So you've been sweeping up and down that Costa del Sol. Is there any particular area that's more prevalent than other with regard to property movement?
Marbella, of course, is always up and it's through the roof. Porto Banús will always be popular. My pick for the next 18 months is Cabapino. Cabapino is a very, very small area, which is really the first village in Marbella, or the district of Marbella. But it seems to be forgotten about because it is small. There isn't a great deal to do there unless you're a golfer. You've got a beautiful harbour if you like to boat, and a very, very stunning beach with a lighthouse on it, a faro as they call it in Spain, so a beautiful lighthouse. And it's one of the areas along the Costa del Sol that actually has some woodland. So on line 1, about 100 yards towards the road that goes between Malaga and all the way to Gibraltar, there is a woodland, and it's a pine woodland, and within that pine woodland there are some beautiful little houses, little finca type of houses, little wooden lodges that have really been forgotten about. And if you want a pretty little place for not too much money that will rent, because it's a hop, skip and a jump to the beach, and it's very, very safe, there is no real car traffic there. There's a few tracks to get you to where you need to be. That is an up-and-coming place, and you can still find below market value. If anybody tells you in 2018 that there's loads of below market value available, it's everywhere, and you see it advertised, they're lying to you.
So if we're talking about below market value, can we talk briefly about due diligence then?
Yes. as everybody knows, the banks repossessed a huge amount of property between 2010 and then about 2015, 2016, and then the Spanish economy started to sort itself out. And there's a huge amount of unemployment still, unfortunately. A lot of children or a lot of teenagers are still unemployed. However, the economy went back to roughly where it was, and people say it's normalised. A normal economy for us in international real estate dispute resolution and international real estate purchase is where people are buying and selling houses, and the banks are facilitating the buying and selling of houses, so you can get a mortgage, you can remortgage, you can leverage, you can equity release in a normal way. The Spanish market is back to normal, even if it's a kind of weird below market grey normal, but it has started to normalise, and it's good. It's getting itself into a good place. If Spain hadn't have been linked to the euro, of course, if it had kept the peseta, Spain wouldn't be in the mess it got itself into. They over leveraged. The euro peg went up, and they got themselves into a mess. But if they'd have kept pesetas, they wouldn't have the issue. Norway didn't have the problem.
Well, I'm going to have a conversation with you on another occasion about Brexit. Just very briefly then, Toby, how is that affecting the market over there? Are people conscious and frightened about buying abroad because of that?
Brexit will affect the market slightly, but not in the way that we perceive it will affect the market. Everybody believes that, we're going to have problems with travel and the free movement of people and the free movement of travel, and English people will not be able to settle in Spain and Spanish people won't be able to settle in the UK. Well, the United Kingdom's not part of Schengen anyway. You have to show your passport to get in and out. You can't travel on your Ausweis, as the Germans do, or in English, your ID card. So we've always had to show our passport. We're not part of Schengen, Norway's not part of Schengen. You've got to show your passport to get in and out anyway. So it won't affect anything. Will the Spanish suddenly stop English people buying retirement homes and spending millions and millions of pounds in Spain after Brexit? The answer is a resounding no. They're not that stupid. Of course they won't. People will be buying and selling in Spain as usual, and I think Spain will open its doors to everybody, as it always has done, because they're not silly enough to turn down the money.
Yeah. And I'm going to lob the word nepotism into the mix here, Toby, with regard to buying property.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that? How that
Yeah, nepotism does exist, and once again, you need to be careful if anybody tells you that it doesn't exist. Vendors of property anywhere in the world usually get paid by the buyer. So the agents get paid by the sellers. They don't actually get paid by the buyer. So you need to be careful when it comes to nepotism with your due diligence, because if the town mayor has granted the deeds and the town mayor's brother's the local planning solicitor, and that planning solicitor's friend is the notary, and the notary is in bed with the developer, then you can find that nepotism does kick in when it comes to doing due diligence, and you need to ensure that when you do your due diligence, you do it properly and you do it thoroughly.
Yes.
And you need to make sure that the documents and the actions of the people are congruent with each other, so their words and their deeds are congruent, they match. Yes, don't worry about the deeds. The deeds will arrive. The deeds are being dealt with by the town hall. Don't worry about the deeds. The deeds are fine, and they will come once you've bought. That is a big red flag to me. You may as well have just waved a big red flag and thrown it onto the field of play. When will the deeds arrive, and where are the deeds, and why hasn't the property got the deeds attached to the property now? Same as what we call halura de habitabilidad, so the habitation license. Houses in Spain do not get knocked down because there's no deeds, because you can apply for deeds retrospectively. So this is something that people may not know. If your land is rezoned in a way that allows you to build, then you can buy a piece of land that has that zoning, build the house, and then annually apply for your planning permission retrospectively and your deeds retrospectively. However, you can't inhabit that property without a habitation license. That's squatting, and squatting's illegal. This is the reason in Valencia properties were knocked down. Not because they didn't have the correct planning or because they didn't have the deeds, but you really shouldn't be buying property without deeds, and never ever buy property without habitation licence. It's suicidal.
Yeah, and that's where you come into play. And of course, within the things that you offer through your company is a very nice concierge service.
We do. We have a full concierge service that will allow anybody to come to us, brief us in full. We'll charge you a small legal fee. And you would give us a total brief, a full brief, and you would let us know exactly what you wanted, where you wanted to buy it, what size it wanted to be, whether or what you wanted a capital return at some point in the future, or whether you wanted a return on investment via a yield. In other words, you wanted to rent it out as a holiday rental. You would give us everything that you wanted us to do. We would then fly over to Spain, find that property, locate the property, do the due diligence on the property, raise any money that you wanted us to raise via mortgages in Spain if you thought it was better for you than equity release in the United Kingdom. Cash is king, of course. If you're a cash buyer, we'll always be able to reduce the price of the property for you because people like cash. That way, it takes all of the stress out of it. We can then come back to the United Kingdom, give you a call, email you over all of the properties that we've seen, and then invite you back over it at our expense to go and find something that suits your needs, because everybody's different.
Thank you, Toby. Cognitive dissonance. There's a funny expression. Can you explain that to me, please?
I can explain cognitive dissonance, and we see it all the time, Michael. It's a person that has two conflicting views about the same thing. So you wouldn't say that I don't like eating meat and then go into McDonald's and praise them for their hamburgers or their double cheeseburger with whatever. That is cognitive dissonance. On one side you say that eating meat is bad, and then the other side you're eating at McDonald's and praising their double cheeseburger or whatever they are. I don't eat in there, but that is cognitive dissonance. And I had a really funny story. Well, I experienced firsthand a German lady that suffered from it. She went from 0 to 10. I was training some representatives for a firm from Switzerland. And we used to use a villa that we knew was not really saleable. It had title issues. It had a probate claim against it. It had some hidden debt. It had planning problems. It had build and structural issues. There were a few cracks here, there and everywhere. When you turned the living room lights on, it used to flush the electric toilet. It was that badly wired. So it wasn't something that you would ever want to sell to a client. But I used to use it, or we used to use it as a training tool to demonstrate to the young girls and boys coming into our firm, to demonstrate how people's, what's the word I'm looking for? How people's perception and the reality of things sometimes don't gel. Anyway, we always used to leave the curtains closed on this particular penthouse, because when you opened the curtains, you had a beautiful view to the right of Gibraltar and the Atlas Mountains across the water. If you looked left, you could see all the way round the bay towards Torremolinos and Benalmádena, views of the mountains of Mijas village, sort of top left, and it had a huge wraparound balcony with a hot tub on one side. It was clad in marble from top to bottom. It was one of the best looking penthouses you would ever see. I used to call it the female narcissist of penthouses, because it was absolutely stunning until you started to unwrap the problems, and then crazy was lurking there. Anyway, we invited this lady in as an exercise to the guys of what not to do and how much control you need sometimes over your clients. And within 5 minutes of the lady entering, she was away. Completely lost it. Ja, Toby, ich möchte jetzt unterschreiben. German, it means I'd like to sign. Ja, du hast natürlich was für mich gefunden. Das ist fantastisch hier. Ausgezeichnet. Ja, Junge, komm hier, lass uns hier. And on she went in German. And I explained to her that you can't buy it, and she lost it. What do you mean I can't buy it? I want to buy it now. I want this now. You're not telling me anything. I want it. And then I threw over the curtains, and that just sent her over the top. It took me about 90 minutes to calm the lady down over lunch, just to explain the reasons why she shouldn't buy it. But as an exercise in somebody that is highly intelligent, wasn't new to the marketplace, had several other rental properties, was making 20 or 30,000 euros a season from the rental properties that she had, articulate, erudite, typical middle-aged, beautiful German lady with all the blonde hair and the blue eyes and the Gucci bags and the kitten heels, became completely unconscious the minute she walked into a marble-clad penthouse that was 50,000 below market value. Well, of course it was below market value. No sane person would buy it.
The heart ruling the head, maybe?
Absolutely, 100%. She just became unconscious, and I don't mean lying down on the floor with eyes closed, I mean mentally and spiritually unconscious the minute she saw this place. And as an exercise in how much control you need over certain clients for the young guys that were coming on board, it was a perfect example of how a normal, rational, sane person who has experience in investing can lose it. Like this, within minutes of seeing something that her heart wanted to overrule her head on. And as I say, we had a really funny lunch where I apologised to her for using her as a guinea pig, and she apologised for turning the air blue when I told her that she couldn't have it, and it wasn't actually for sale.
Which is why people need people like you to help them through the process.
I think it makes it easier. You don't have, if you want to go it alone, you can go it alone, and if you want to call our office, we're more than happy to furnish you with brochures and free information and free advice. We won't charge you for a coffee. We won't charge you for picking up the phone. We won't charge you for an email. I'm happy if I've got time to sit on the phone for an hour with you and talk you through the mechanisms of safe investment in Spain.
How come you charged me for a coffee when I came in then, Toby?
Because we've known each other a long time, Michael, and you're always in here drinking my coffee, so we need to replenish it.
Toby, thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome, sir. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.